disappointing that we couldn't send the seniors out the right way, but proud of their efforts and everything that they've given to the program over this year that I've been with them, and obviously for the guys who have been here for an extended period of time, all that they've given. And they'll be Aztecs for life, and extremely proud of their efforts, and wish we could have had a joyous locker room with them to celebrate all of their efforts. But obviously came up short, didn't do enough in all three phases, and that starts with me as a leader. We'll get that right, we'll get that rectified, and we'll consistently be bringing championships here back home. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
O'Neal had a really solid game tonight. What are your thoughts on his performance and his future as the team's quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, he's grown throughout the year, right? He's made some really good decisions. He's made some really good growth. He's really made some great progress. There's lots of areas for him to continue to improve and to grow, and that's every single individual that's in our program, right? We pride ourselves on getting better week in and week out. Obviously, we didn't do that near to the level that we needed to this year, but we'll take the growth and the foundation that's been laid from this year, build upon it, and we'll be better because of it.
Coach, you got 9 receivers, 9 different players caught passes today. It shows the depth that you have. How does that help you for the future? You have so many guys right now you can rely on.
Yeah, we want to have as many playmakers, within our program at every single position group, whether that's wide receivers, that's running backs, that's tight ends, to be able to utilize them and their skill sets in a lot of different ways. This is going to be a great opportunity for a spot to come play if you're a playmaker, right? And we're going to find ways to get the ball in your hands and create a whole lot of space for you. So whether you're a high school kid, a JUCO kid, a transfer kid, there's going to be a great opportunity here. We're going to compete, and we're going to have competitive depth, not only in that O-skill position group, but in every single group, in every single phase.
You've been through your share of senior nights. How did this one compare?
Yeah, I mean, this one was a little bit more sour, right, than some of the great ones that I've had, and obviously because of the outcome, right? But it doesn't, it doesn't diminish, again, what those kids have done, their sacrifice and their commitment to the things that we're asking them to do. And then again, you just know looking at them from all the lessons that they've learned. There's been a lot of hard lessons learned this year, right? But they're going to take those lessons, right, and apply them to who they're becoming and the growth and the journey that they're going to be on. And I know those guys are going to have a whole ton of success in all areas of their life. And I can't wait to see who they become 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And, told each and every single one of them that I'll always be here for them in any way that I can help. Don't hesitate to call.
The offense seemed to have some different wrinkles tonight. Maybe there was more snaps under center. There was a jumbo package with an extra offensive lineman at the goal line. Are these things that you were looking to do over the season and just didn't materialize, and something we could see more next year?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to be creative, and we're going to find ways to win, right? We've been limited by some personnel groupings that we could get into, and we got creative with the people that we could use tonight, and we're going to, again, look to continue to evolve and continue to grow and to maximize the people that we have, and, felt that, again, it was important to put forth the best plan possible for us to be able to finish in the red zone, especially down, local near the goal line, which had been an Achilles heel for us this year, right? And so, did some different things. It was good to have some success in that area, but obviously not enough, throughout the course of the game.
Was there a thought to use that jumbo package on that 4th and 1, I think, in the third quarter?
Not in that situation, right? We had some other tendencies that were stacked throughout the course of the year and wanted to keep the ball in Coop's hands in that situation, and we lost the backside C gap, and unfortunately that didn't go our way, and then obviously it swings the other direction, and they go get 7, and obviously that was pretty pivotal.
Coach, at the beginning of the year, when you announced Danny O'Neal as the starter, you said that it was for winning and winning this year. You guys only won 3 games. In hindsight, was that still the best decision for your team?
Yeah, I believe so. Right? It's easy to Monday morning quarterback and look back at it when you know the results at the end of the year, but I feel like everything that went into it and the way that those guys competed, Danny separated himself, and, again, I don't put that on Danny's play in particular, right? It starts with me and everything that we did in all 3 phases. It's the ultimate team game. Obviously, the quarterback position is critically important, and a lot gets made about that, and there's no one more popular than whoever the backup quarterback happens to be when you have a year like this, right? But, again, as we go through the future, there's going to be the best guy who's going to play, right? One guy started in 2018 when I was at Kent State, and by week 2, year 2, a different guy was starting, right? And we ended up in a bowl game, right? So again, whoever happens to be under center in next season in 2025, right? It better be a better version of Danny, or it's going to be someone else that gives us the best chance to win in that year as we put all the pieces together.
But then for Danny and his development, really the consistency and wanting to play a full game. It seemed like today was as closest to having that full game. Obviously, some plays are always going to leave out there.
Mm-hmm.
But just for him and his development, how important was it to get into the offseason with a pretty complete performance.
Yeah, I mean, there's no substitute for game reps for anyone, right? And the guys accumulated a lot of game reps in all three phases, and regardless of how well he played individually, it wasn't enough, right? And at the end of the day, the ultimate goal was to send these seniors out the right way. We fell short of that, but there's experiences within it that guys will be able to take from it. And again, not just this year, but throughout the whole course of the year, it better be fuel and it better be fire that we use to motivate us and drive us and to withstand some great self-discipline as we move through winter conditioning when we get back on campus and through spring ball, to have a greater sense of urgency, to come together and to have a greater attention to detail with all that we do, right? So that when these moments come in the fall, when everyone starts paying attention to us, right, that we're doing a much better job, right, of execution on these days that truly, truly count.
Coop said that he 100% believes that this is going to get turned around. He put his faith back in you and vouched for you in front of us a couple of moments ago. When you look at this year, is this a year that you evaluate as something that you got to stick to your system because you believe in it and you know that it works, or are you assessing things and trying to make sure that you're staying relevant and that this can't repeat itself next year?
Yeah, it obviously can't repeat itself, right? But there's things that we believe culturally that aren't going to change, right? The consistent growth, the relentless nature that we need to have when we compete, right? How we are connected and tied together, and those connections and bonds allow us to be better collectively as a team, right? And better as individuals because we're serving one another, right? And that ultimately there's no substitute for hard work, and that work works. And anyone that's looking for a shortcut's only going to shortchange themselves, right? Like those core beliefs, those pillars are never going to change, right? In terms of, innovation, if you're talking about schematically or X's and O's, right? Like we're always looking for growth and development in that regard, right? I think we'd be foolish as a staff if we didn't go and, again, assess where our strengths were, things were, situationally, maybe we had weaknesses, and then be able to go talk to some really smart people that are doing things at a high level so that we can take some ideas and implement it, right? That's us living our number one standard and our core belief of always improving and competing, right? Like if we're not living that as a staff and we're saying, hey, like this works, it's worked back in the day, and schematically you guys need to do it better, right? Like we'd be shortchanging the kids in that regard, right? And so we'll assess and we'll evaluate the scheme and we'll continue to grow, like some of the things that you saw today and throughout the course of the season, right? We weren't status quo from week 1 in any phase of the game to, till week 12 tonight, right? That will constantly be green and growing. But who we are and what the culture is going to be built upon, right, which is what's going to drive our daily processes, that's not going to change, right? We're going to improve and compete each and every single day that we get, right? We're going to execute with purpose together, right? Together. It's not any one individual, including myself, that's bigger than this place, right? It's about the collective whole. And at the end of the day, again, like there's hard work that needs to get done. And man, we need to lean into that. We need to roll up our sleeves and we need to embrace that hard work because work truly works. There's no other substitute for that.
Sean, what did Air Force do that made those passes so effective?
They ran the ball really, really well, right? They commit hats to it. You get eyes back in the backfield, and then it leads to explosives over the top.
Can you explain the thinking behind the 2-point attempt down 11 in the fourth quarter?
Down 11, it's 2 possessions. You score the 2-point, which we had the premium look for. Now it's 9. So either way, it's 11 or it's 10. It's a 2-possession game. You make it a 9-point game. Now within those 2 possessions, you can kick the field goal and get a touchdown, and you win. And we're going to play for the win.
A few times, I think early, the first game of the season, that look worked. I think Michael Harrison took the snap and ran it in, but the last 3 or 4 times it's kind of been fumbled or thrown away. Is that something that maybe going to just line up with the offense and going forward might have been a better move?
We have a premium look that we've seen all night. Ryan Wintermeyer is one of our best players, one of our most consistent players, so we have the ball in his hand going into a premium look, and you're going to rely on the consistency of the kids and what they've shown you in practice to execute that in the game. They'd execute it clean all during the week. Again, we get the premium look for it. You rely on that training. Came up short tonight. Got to do a better job training and coaching as we go forward.
As the head coach of this program, what's the rest of the year look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a team meeting on Monday with everything, and then we'll start our exit interviews the next week with all the guys that are currently on our team as we enter the recruiting dead period. And again, that's a huge important step for us as we move forward into 2025 because it leads to the retention of our roster, which is the most critical piece right now. We've poured into these young men with our time, with our resources, and with our energy, right? So we need to keep our best players home as we do that. And And then the signing day will be next Wednesday, so we got to get our signing class in on Wednesday. And then a week from Monday, the transfer portal will open. So then we'll start contacting the transfer portal kids that are in the portal. We'll start hosting official visits because the calendar has changed and it's only a quiet period now. It's not a contact period. So to have real conversations with these kids and to meet them and spend time with them, you got to get them to campus. So that will lead all the way up until December 22nd. The staff will take a little time off. On December 23rd, we'll be back in the office on January 2nd to where the recruiting period will open back up with the transfer portal kids. Then after that weekend, there'll be a slight break because AFCA convention comes into play. Then the contact period will begin where we'll start taking a deeper dive into the 2026 kids that we can contact and start doing home visits with. There'll still be official visits going on. And then on Martin Luther King Day, we'll have a team meeting and we'll turn the page and we'll start winter conditioning for the 2025 team. School starts on January 21st and then we'll be rolling into it. So it never really stops, and that's what makes it so much fun because you get to constantly build the culture, you get to constantly have great talent within your building, and it's fortunate that we have great resources and a great plan in place. This isn't a hobby. All right, we're going to do this the right way, and we're going to bring championships back to the Mesa.
What about your coaching staff? Do you anticipate being able to keep them all together?
Absolutely. That's my plan. That's my intention. Continuity leads to consistency. Consistency leads to a great culture. Great culture leads to championships.
How many kids do you expect to sign on Wednesday?
Right now, probably somewhere between 17 and 20.
All high school or maybe some other game?
The majority on Wednesday will be high school. What
What other loose ends are there still left before you can be assured that you'll have all those guys lined up?
A lot will be learned in the exit interviews. A lot will be gleaned from the resources that we have at our disposal. And as the finances of things come into play, as we all been talking about, as we all know along, right? How that will play out for the kids as we go forward with it. We've gotten tremendous support and got a tremendous gift today from one of our big time supporters that was outstanding to be able to make us extremely competitive in this space that we know is just a reality that is college football. And again, we have a tremendous support. We have tremendous resources. We have a tremendous location. We have a tremendous staff. We have a tremendous plan. And I'm really looking forward to doing, again, the work, right, to make this thing right. And looking forward to getting it to the level that we all know that it can be, that we expect it to be. And looking forward to that.
Anything else for Coach?
Now that you've had the opportunity to go through the Mountain West, is there anything you learned about this conference that you didn't know going into it, and now how you can better position the team going forward?
There's nothing that I didn't know going into it that I learned this year. Obviously, we got to do a great job. The game's won in the trenches, right? And I think, one area as we move through it, right? Like, we got to have a great competitive depth, on both of our fronts, right? And have enough pieces as we move through it. We know that there's going to be, some injuries that we experienced this year, which is all a part of the game. But again, having the competitive depth and the depth of experience along both trenches and having the right amount of mass in both fronts is going to be critically important to be able to consistently run the ball and stop the run as we move forward and do this thing the right way.
Coach, you just talked about the continuity in the offensive defensive line. Those were the last coaches that you brought in. Did you not be able to hit the ground running with the guys that you have at those positions? Do you feel like overall it kind of put you behind the eight ball and trying to fill it?
No, I mean, I've known Coach Schmidt for a long time, right? When he went out to Syracuse, and obviously had never worked together with him, right? But when those pieces started moving on the the proverbial coaching carousel, so to speak, right? Like, was able to make a quick move in that regard. And then obviously we had quite a bit of movement along the interior defensive line position as we moved through it all. But again, there's been continuity in those connections and those relationships through it all. I think it would be critical, again, to have those pieces in place. If anything, I knew them. It's the relationship between the position coaches and the players, right? To have that in lockstep and to have those styles, blended and married together will be critical as we go forward with it all. But again, we had enough people in place, right, to do better, and we'll do better.